Welcome, Kingdom Scribes, to another episode of the Author's Corner podcast with your favorite writing and book publishing coach, me, Tiffany Dillard. Today's topic we're going to talk about is trusting God with your manuscript. Now, I know, we're supposed to be talking about all the things of book publishing, but this is also a Christian podcast. It's also a Christian book publishing company. So we can't not just not talk about God in some form. During our time together. So today we're going to talk about trusting God with your manuscript because that's necessary for your process. So I want you to go and get your journal, your notebook, whatever you need to take notes. And I want you to go get your favorite snack, anything you need to keep you focused on this broadcast, and then come back and join me for an amazing conversation. Welcome back, Kingdom Scribes. I hope that you got everything that you needed so that way you can stay engaged and stay focused on this episode for trusting God with your manuscript. We're going to talk about the journey of faith and creativity and surrendering because all of those are necessary when it comes to trusting God with our manuscript. I want to share my personal story when it comes to trusting God with my manuscript is when, I had to write my first book, The Reflection of Me, Finding You and God Through the Pain, which you can find on my website. I had to trust God when he took me back to places that was hard for me. When he took me back to places that I thought that I was over. I thought I had healed from it. It was a afterthought in my mind, and I thought I was good. But come to find out, there was some residue in my heart. There were some things that I had suppressed. There were some things that I had suppressed so deeply that it literally was like erased from my mind until God brought those things back up. And I had to trust him to do what he needed to do in me so that I can relay that message in the book. I had to trust him when he told me to share certain details of my marriage and me dealing with domestic violence, even my childhood. I had to trust him because some things I knew that, my family members and friends and, even myself had questions about. And so it was like, God, are you sure you want me to talk about this? And he was like, yeah. You talk about that. I want you to be transparent. I want you to be real. I want you to be honest with yourself as well as I want you to be honest with your audience. And it's hard to kind of write a book about yourself that includes family members because some people may get offended. Some people may, get upset. And you still have to put it out anyways because that's what God said. So I had to trust him with my manuscript. I had to rely on him to guide me and direct me through that writing process. I had to rely on him and trust him to know that, yes, what I'm saying may offend some, but I can't fear them. I can't back down because what I'm saying may make somebody feel uncomfortable. I still had to share what God told me to share. I had to do what Proverbs 3:5-6 says, where it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. I had to rely on that scripture as I was writing my book. I had to trust that he knows what's best for this book. He knew what words I needed to say and how I needed to say it to reach my audience. And that's what I want to help you accept and come into agreement with on today's episode. I want you to trust God with your manuscript. I want you to learn how to trust God with those hard memories, with those memories that you're like, really, God? Like, you're taking me back here? I'm having to go down this road that I told myself I would never go down this way again, I would never go back down memory lane of this situation or circumstances or thinking about this person ever again, and you want me to include that in my book, and now I have to go back down that lane. You got to trust God and trust that he know what he's doing. So I want to give some points pertaining to, trusting God and why it's important. So the first point is why trusting God with your manuscript matters. That's a question. And I know that's a question that some of you are probably asking. Well, why do I need to trust him with the manuscript? He gave me the title. He told me what to write. Um, you know, Gave me some points on what to write. He helped me with my outline. I have the framework built up when it comes to the book. So I'm just going to flow. I'm just going to write what I'm comfortable with. But what happens when he takes you out of your comfort zone? So writing is an act of faith. God places unique stories and messages in each writer's heart for a purpose. So even though he may have said, hey, these are the points that I want you to talk about, but then he's going to be the one to help you fill those chapters up with the words that are necessary for your reader. He's going to be the one to guide you and direct you, to let you know if you need to keep writing, if there's more that you need to write, or if that chapter is done. And it has happened to me so many times where I have had clients who I have done developmental editing on their manuscripts, and I will read a chapter and I could just hear the alarms going off. There's more, there's more, there's more. They didn't write everything I told them to write. They didn't put in here everything that I told them to put in this chapter. They didn't write it according to the way I told them to write it. They wrote what they wanted to write, and they didn't follow my plan. And then I have to be the one to present it back to them and say, hey, there's more. And give them suggestions of, okay, this needs to be da 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 da. And every time they will say, yeah, I know. That was an uncomfortable place for me. I didn't really understand why I needed to talk about that. They didn't have faith in God as they were writing, to trust his plan, to know that what he told them to say was necessary, that somebody on the other side of their book needed to hear that, needed to be able to overcome a situation based off what they said. Another reason why trusting God with your manuscript matters is overcoming self-doubt. Trusting God helps combat the fear of inadequacy or failure. Because, like me, I was like, God, why am I talking about domestic violence? Like, there's so many books out here about domestic violence. There are so many events out here about domestic violence. Domestic violence has its own awareness month. Like, what can I add to this topic? What can I add to this conversation? And his words were, you add me. You add me. They're not talking about me. They're not talking about how I helped them or I delivered them or I made them whole, how I restored their voice, how I helped them to also see the bad decisions that they may have made in a situation. And I'm not saying that everybody that's dealt with domestic violence has made bad decisions pertaining to being in that relationship, but some of us have. Some of us seen red flags and we were so blinded by love, we ignored it. And then we found ourselves in a very toxic relationship with a very dysfunctional and toxic person. And so we have to overcome self-doubt. We have to overcome the thoughts that my story matters. My voice matters in the earth. I'm always encouraging you guys to continue to write because our stories are going to change the world. Some of us may be doubting that, and God is wanting us to know that we don't have to doubt that decree. We don't have to doubt that declaration that our stories will change lives. And I know when we think about that, we think about the big picture. And for some of us, it may be the big picture, but some of us, it may be a small community that we affect. And if that's our impact, that's our impact. And God is going to use it all the same. The same way he used the person that may have a big audience is the same way he's going to use you with your small community. It's not going to be anything different. That you are the person for the job. You are the man, you are the woman for the job. He is called for you from behind the scenes to come forth and write this book, tell your story, stand in boldness and confidence in that, and know that your story matters and that somebody needs to know that they can overcome. Last season, we talked about being the blueprint. You are the blueprint. Your story is the blueprint. Your story is somebody's testimony. Your story is somebody's glimpse to let them know I don't have to live like this. God doesn't desire for this. God doesn't desire this for me. Lord, I couldn't get that out. God doesn't desire this for me. He wants more. He wants more for me. And so you don't have to stay in that place. You don't have to feel like that I'm a failure. Because, like, when you go back through your story, why did I even allow this to happen in my life? And take yourself down this rabbit hole that you don't need to go down. Or you feel like your book is going to fail. Like nobody is going to purchase my book. Nobody is going to, want to hear what I have to say. Nobody. And that's not true. Because everything that God does through us will be successful, will turn into gold, will accomplish the thing that he sent that word, that story forth to do. We will not fail. Another reason why trusting God with your manuscript matters is aligning with God's timing. You have to understand the importance of surrendering control over when and how the manuscript reaches readers. Sometimes we have these significant dates and we're like, hey, I want to do it on my birthday. I want to release it on my birthday. I want to release it on maybe this important person's birthday, or, it may be like an important day for you. And God said, no, I need you to release it this time. I need you to release it on this day. I need you to hold. I need you to write this now, but I don't need you to release it until 2 years from now. And you're like, God, I did all of this work and I've been telling people that I'm writing a book and I can't release it until 2 years from now. I can't release it on my birthday. I got to wait 3 or 4 more months to release it. God's timing is perfect. God's timing is perfect. And then how he wants your manuscript to reach readers, whether it's through the formatting of your book, like whether he's saying, okay, do an audio book, because that's a thing now, do an ebook, or do a paperback book or a hard copy, or do both, or I want you to write the book and create a journal with it. However he tells you to do it, just do it. Trust him. In this season, I am encouraging everyone that hears my voice to trust God. Like, what else do we have to lose? We don't have anything else to lose other than life going back to what it was before we took that step to trusting God. But what I can guarantee, because I have learned to trust God and I'm continuing to learn how to trust God in all things, that when I took the step in trusting God, I didn't have to take a step back. I kept going forward. I kept moving forward. I have to do things as God instructs me to do and move how He tells me to move. And sometimes we're going to have to pivot. And sometimes those pivot moves don't make any sense. But we're going to have to do what God has told us to do and how He told us to do it. So if He gives you a plan on when to release your book, if He gives you a plan on how to release that manuscript, follow His instructions. If you are one that's saying, I'm going to publish my own book, I'm not going to go through a publishing house to publish my book, I'm going to do it myself. And then when you get towards the end, He's like, I need you to go and connect with New Voice Books or whatever publishing house that He instructs you to go connect with, and saying, hey, I need you to allow them to help you get this book done. That's what you're going to have to do. And trust to know that He's got everything in control. So all the provision is already there. It's already there. It's already there. So trust Him. Now I want to talk about practical ways to trust God with your writing. One, you can pray over your manuscript. So when you're writing that, when you've done your brainstorming, you know what? No, let's take it back. Because I always say pray during your brainstorming process. So start praying soon as God gives you the idea. Soon as God downloads into you and saying, this is the story that I want you to write, start praying and asking God to lead and guide and direct you. Download into you what you need to do. And that will lead you into the brainstorming process to where you can start building your outline, gathering your information, organizing your topics, organizing your points. Pray. Pray through the whole entire process. Don't stop once you get the outline and saying, oh, okay, I'm good. No, keep praying. Keep praying. Because there may come a time where you're like, I don't have anything to say. Pray. I don't think I want to really talk about this because it's hard for me. Pray. I'm not too sure if this is what you told me to do. Pray. And don't stop praying. Even after the book is released, pray. Pray over those book sales. Pray over that your book reaches the audience that God intended for it to reach. Pray over every book that you send out. Pray. And don't stop praying. Because there's going to come another book and another book. How many other books God wants you to write? Pray. Another thing is, before writing sessions, ask for guidance, inspiration, and clarity. So before you get to that laptop and before you turning it on and starting to type or writing in a notebook or writing on your tablet, however you write, pray and ask God for guidance, inspiration, and clarity. So then you can kill that writer's block. You can shut that down. Because you don't even have to worry about that. You have asked God to give you clarity of mind. You have asked Him to inspire you. You have asked Him to guide you. And He will do just that, because He wants to be not just a part of your life, but a part of this process as well. He wants you to write this book with Him. Not on your own, with Him. Another practical way to trust God with your writing is dedicate the project to God, acknowledging Him as the ultimate author, which He really is. If we are to be honest, the word says He's the author and finisher of our faith. He wrote our story out long before we even knew we would even be here. Long before our parents even knew we would be here. Our story was already written. So all we're doing is acting out the scenes of a story that He's already put together. So who else? Who else? Who else can help you walk through a story than the author himself? So dedicate your project to Him. I dedicate my books to God. I give them back to God and I say, God, this is your project. What am I doing? This podcast, I dedicate it back to God. Because I'm like, God, what you want me to say to your kingdom scribes? They're your people. I don't know what to say. In some places, I'm showing up as the expert because He's trained me up to. In some places, I'm showing up as a student and I'm still learning. And we're learning together because He's still teaching me. And He's still using others to teach me. So I have to trust Him. So by trusting Him, I dedicate it all back to Him. And I'm challenging you to dedicate your manuscript back to God. Dedicate your writing process back to God. Dedicating your marketing and promotion back to God. Dedicating every speaking engagement or interview back to God. Dedicating your real and personal content back to God. Dedicate it all back to God. Next, seek God's direction. So that means you have to continually stay in prayer. You can't just pray at the beginning and then don't talk to God after that. No, you have to continue to seek His direction. So that means you have to continue to stay in His presence before Him in prayer. And you're like, Tiffany, I don't have all that time to be laying out in the prayer room. That's not what I'm saying. I know as I was writing my book and I was writing and I would get to a place and I'm like, well, God, what do you want to say here? Am I done here? And every time I would get to the end of a chapter and it was time to close it, I would hear a door close. Because I asked Him, God, let me know when I'm done with this chapter. And so His way of letting me know that I was done is me hearing the sound of a door closed. And when I heard that door close, I moved on to the next chapter. And I needed that because I would sit there and be like, is this enough? Feeling inadequate. Is this enough? Did I, say enough? Did I express my point clear enough? Like I would just be going back and forth in my mind. Or do they understand what I'm saying? Is my message clear? Like I would be going back and forth in my mind. And God was like, no, we're not going to do that because then that's going to keep you stuck. So I'm going to give you a sound. I'm going to have that door close. And as that door closes, you will know that you're at the end and to move on. Another practical way to trust God with your writing is be open to His leading on themes, tone, or even structural changes. So I know when we get that download from God, our mind starts to it starts to process things. You coming up with all these ideas. You are doing research. You are getting your favorite authors' books. You're looking at how their layout is and how their flow is and how their tone is, how what their themes are, how their book is structured. Like you're looking at all of the things. And God is saying, no, I need you to trust me with those things. I need you to trust me with the themes. I need you to trust me with the tone. I need you to trust me with the structure of your book. Because when I started doing my book, I was looking at everybody else's books. And then as God had called me to start helping other authors, hey, Kingdom Scribe, I think you're trying to figure out how to get your book published, right? You're kind of trying to figure out all the things. Well, let New Voice Books help you. Go to our website, nbpublishingco.com. There you will find all of the services that we provide for book publishing. You can schedule a one-on-one coaching call with myself. If you just want to ask questions, you want to get a better understanding of something, we also have a Kingdom Scribe mentorship program that will take you from A to Z when it comes to book publishing and all of the other things that you will need along the way. So you don't have to sit there and try to figure out how you're going to do this. Just go to nvpublishingco.com and New Voice Books will be glad to serve you in excellence and help you publish your book so that way it can change the world. Be blessed. Publish their books. He showed me a book structure. And he was like, I want you to do all books like this. Don't deviate from it unless I tell you to. If I'm not telling you to change it, this is how the books are supposed to flow. Your book, everybody's book, is to flow this way. And that's what I've been doing. He even gave me the opportunity to go back and revise the reflection of me. And I had to put it in that structural format. And when I talk and when I write, I'm talking to you through my book. So we're having a conversation as I'm writing. That's the tone that he's given to me. Write like you're talking to them. It gives you information and it's very informative, but he wants us to have a conversation to keep you engaged with me. So you feel like we're just sitting at a table and we're just talking. And then let him guide you on your themes. You know, I have some authors that were wanting to do like call outs, and call outs is basically like a saying in your one of your paragraphs that you're wanting to highlight as an important um saying or something to remember out of that paragraph. And so they pull it out. And sometimes you'll see it where people will put it between two paragraphs or they'll put it to the side and then the paragraph will be on one side. Like those are call outs. And so some people like to do that. Some people like to intertwine in their book like graphics or graphs. So they need to, put all those things in their books. I had one client who book was a nonfiction book, a little bit of fiction, and it was a workbook. And we put all of that together. And then it's an amazing book. But he had to trust God with the plan that God gave him. Now, I could have came as the publisher and saying, whoa, 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 this is too much. This won't work. But even as a publisher, because I've committed New Voice Books back to God, I have given it back to God. I have to flow and pivot as he tells his kingdom scribes. He gives them the instructions. I got to do what they say do. If God said this is how it's supposed to be structured, that's how it's going to be structured. And the only way things are changed unless he tell me, hey, Tiffany, no, we need to do this, move this, do it like this, set it like this, or this is your format. This is your structure for all books. Do not change it. And that's what I have to do. I can't just say, no, God. And then everything goes to the left because I'm disobedient. I have to trust God along with you, Kingdom Scribe, as you trust God. So being obedient is really doing the hard thing. It's like I said earlier. If he has told you and give you instructions to structure your manuscript a certain way, that's how you got to do it. If he is giving you the instructions of saying things a certain way, that's how you have to do it. Because sometimes we have to break things down in a tone that is not fitting to the box of, the way it should be said according to our English language and grammar and all of that. Sometimes we have to say it how he told us to say it, because somebody is listening for your voice. And when they read your book and that phrase or that paragraph, they're reading and then they're flowing with it and they're not, and it resonates with them. That's the reason why he said to say it that way. He wanted that spark to, light up. He wanted something to be ignited in them. And your words was like striking a match. And now that person is continuing to be drawn in to your book. Like, what else are they saying? What else do they have to say? And that can be in your book description. You may say it a certain way in your book description, which will cause that person to say, you know what? This is my book. This is my book. I need this book. So be obedient to the instructions that he's giving you. Allow him to transform your story into the manuscript that will be placed in the hands of his people, because it's his people. It's his people, y'all. It's put my phone on silent, y'all, because all these dings and all of that. I don't want y'all to be hearing all that. But be obedient to what he has called you to do and told you to do when it comes to the manuscript. Release perfectionism. You are not perfect, and nothing that you will do on your own will be perfect. I'm sorry. I know some of us feel like we're just everything, and that everything we do is perfect. It's not. It's not. God is the only perfect being, and we only have access to perfection through him. If he's not doing it with you, it is not perfect. So release that. That was an issue for me when I first wrote my book, because I was new to publishing a book. I didn't have a mentor or somebody to guide me through the process of getting my book published. I did have like a writing coach that, just kind of helped me to understand writing and tone and things like that. But after God allowed me to be with her, he released me and was like, okay, let's go. And so I had to continue to move forward with writing this book. I had to write the book with God. I didn't get to write the book with the writing coach. She was just there to kind of give me some pointers and, just help me to understand why this is this and why this is that, and help me to, to push along and encourage me. But like I said, once I got all that I needed from her, God was like, now come over here with me and let's get this book done. And I didn't know now what I didn't know then what I know now. And when I looked at my book after I published a couple of authors, I'm like, God, like their book is on point. My book needs some work. My book needs some work. I need to go back through and re-edit. I need to go back and, do copy and developmental editing. I need to format it, to justify it. I need to work on my book. And he was like, no, put it out. Put it out. Put it out as is. And I'm like, God, for real? Like, come on now. You are calling me to help others to put out their book in excellence. Why not my book? And that was because I was trying to be a perfectionist. But I had to release that. I had to let it go. And the longer I held on to trying to be perfect, the more God kept telling me no. He kept telling me no. I need you to go and help this author get their book done. I need you to help my kingdom scribe over here. Yeah, I need you to work on that manuscript. And I was so like determined, y'all, to get my book done right, to where I even went and tried to get my manuscript from the printer that I use. And when it was uploaded, I was like, yeah, okay, I got my manuscript. I can just go back and do what I need to do. Y'all, the whole manuscript was codes. It was not words. It was a complete coding document. It was so weird. And I was like, I can't do nothing with this. This not even my book. God shut it down. He shut it down. And then last year, he released me to go back and to do revisions on my first book. But that's after I've published 7 authors. So he didn't say that it wasn't part of his will. He was teaching me something when he had me to write my book. He wanted me to trust him with my manuscript. He wanted me to trust him with the process. He wanted me to trust him with the people that he connected me to. He didn't want me to get out here and trying to be perfect Patty. He wanted me to do what he told me to do and still see the impact of what I saw as imperfect, but still see the impact of my story in the lives of those who read my book. Nobody was talking about, Tiffany, your paragraphs wasn't justified. Nobody was talking about, Tiffany, you had a few words there that, wasn't right. You needed some grammar corrections. No, they were coming to me and telling me how inspiring my story was. They were coming back and telling me how I didn't realize that you went through all of that. They were coming back and thanking me for sharing my story, for writing the book. So we have to release perfectionism and allow God to be God. Another practical way to trust God with your writing is trust that God can use imperfect vessels to deliver his message. I was an imperfect vessel, but God still used me to share my story in the earth. God still used me to tell people that he is a deliverer. He is a healer. He is a restorer of all things. He will make you whole. And that he will restore your identity. And he will even take you deeper into letting you know who you truly are. So that way you can shed all those false identities that was placed upon you through somebody else, through a bad relationship. You are the vessel that he wants to use, flawed and all. You are the vessel that he wants to use, flawed and all. One more time. You are the vessel that he wants to use, flawed and all. Okay? You. You are who he wants to use. You. You, Kingdom Scribe. Nobody else. You. Yeah, they may be talking about the same thing you're talking about, but come from a different viewpoint. It's okay. Yeah, you might be writing about finance and business, but come from a different viewpoint. come from the viewpoint that God gave you. Somebody needs to hear it your way. Somebody make it understand it your way. So know that, yes, you are imperfect, but you are qualified by God. You are stamped by God. You are his kingdom scribe. Okay? And then lastly, focus on progress again, not perfection, as you write. Take time to celebrate those small wins when you have set your writing schedule and you stuck to that writing schedule for that whole entire week. Celebrate yourself when you created maybe created a graphic or something for your advertising and marketing and promotion, and you didn't think you could do that, but you did it and it looks good, and you did it with God. Celebrate you completing that chapter. Celebrate you being consistent and praying and asking God to direct you through your writing process. Celebrate you getting that first interview and somebody wants to talk to you about your book. Celebrate the feedback and the reviews that you are getting, where people are saying, this book is changing my life. This book is helping me. This book has helped me to draw to God more. This book is setting me free. I've been wanting to learn about cryptocurrency and finances and how to read a financial statement without feeling confused and frustrated. And your book broke it down for me and made it so easy for me to understand what I'm doing and what I'm reading and my next steps. That's who you are, Kingdom Scribes. You are an imperfect vessel that God chooses to use to reach those that may never step foot in a church, that may never get to know him the traditional way, but may have been a person that is frustrated with their finances, frustrated with budgeting. It may just be a small practical thing that he uses you to write about to reach this person. Don't try to figure out his plan for your book. Just write it. Just trust him with your manuscript. Just let him be your guide. Let him use you. Even if you feel inadequate, even if you feel like I'm not qualified for this, I am an imperfect vessel. I can't do this. Allow him to do what he needs to do with you. Take his hand and allow him to guide you and direct you through all things book publishing. And if he tell you to reach out to a publishing house to get your book published, do it. Trust him. He has everything you need. Don't doubt him. Trust him. I mean, what else do we have to lose, people? What else do we have to lose? Life going back to where it was? That's it. Let's just trust God. Let's trust God with the writing sessions. Let's trust God with building the book. Let's trust God with the manuscript. Let's trust God with connecting you to whoever you need to be connected to help you get the book published. Let's trust God with the marketing and promotion. Let's trust God with him making your name great as an author in this world. Let's trust God to know that your story is going to change lives. Trust him. Not yourself, not the book publisher, not a YouTube video. Trust God. Trust God. He got you. I promise you he does. He got you. I am a living witness. Y'all, I'm doing a whole podcast on YouTube. I am talking to people that I don't even know. I'm talking to people that some may criticize me. Some may say she don't know what she doing. Some may come on here that are experts in podcast productions and all kind of things and may say, oh no, that ain't good. But I'm doing it the way God told me to do it. I thought I would just be writing books. New Voice Books was just supposed to be for me. But God said, no, go get my kingdom scribes. Go get my kingdom scribes. And you didn't think that I was nervous when I was taking somebody's manuscript that they worked hard on and helping them to get it published? I was nervous, very nervous. Because I'm like, God, I don't know what I'm doing. I am an imperfect vessel. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have this background. I do not have background in literature, liberal arts. I have a business administration bachelor's degree. I don't have anything that will anchor me in me being an experienced and qualified person to help people publish their books. This is all God, but I have to trust him. I have to trust him maneuvering me through all that he's maneuvering me through. And I want you to trust him too. Now, if you need help with getting your book published, New Voice Books is here to help you. We are here to help serve you in excellence. So if you want to learn more about the services that New Voice Books offers, you can go to nvpublishingco.com. And we have all of the information pertaining to the book publishing products and services that we offer. We have a Kingdom Scribe mentorship program if you want to do it by yourself, but you just need the tools and resources to help navigate you through the process. We have a self-paced Kingdom Scribe mentorship program. If you are one that is already in the process, but you're kind of stuck in the area and you're like, I have questions, I am currently open for one-on-one coaching sessions. You can get a 1-hour session with me and I can answer all the questions that you have. If there's a question I don't know the answer to, we can look it up and go ahead and search it and learn it together. I am not one to where I feel like I'm above learning more. No. If we can learn that together, we can learn it together. But you don't have to sit out here and try to figure things out on your own. You can trust God to know that he has people like myself that are qualified. And that felt good to me. And I'm not saying it felt good to me in a prideful way because guys, I had to learn for a while now to trust God with me showing up as an editor-in-chief of a book publishing company. I had to trust God that he knew what he was saying and knew what he was doing when he called me to be the one to go get his kingdom scribes. This is not an easy task for me, but I'm trusting God along the way. So if you need help, again, go to our website, nvpublishingco.com, and we have plenty of services there that you can access. We also have an education hub where we have some ebooks that are available that provides tools and resources. If you sign up for our mailing list, our email list, and join the Kingdom Scribe community, we're giving away a freebie. It's a writing resource ebook. We're giving that away for free. All you need to do is sign up and subscribe to our email list. That's it. And you can get a resource that can be beneficial to your journey with getting your book published. So, Kingdom Scribes, I absolutely love you. I want you to continue to write. Don't stop writing. We have much to say. God is who will guide us, and we're going to trust him in it all. Trust God with your manuscript. If you put your manuscript down because you've been trying to do it all within yourself, within your own power, Today is the day to make the choice to trust God with your manuscript. Trust God. He know what he doing. Be blessed.